Welcome to So and So, brought to you by Bernina, Made to Create. I'm Meg Goodman, and you're about to enjoy a casual conversation with a special member of the sewist and quilting community. A conversation about how they got started, what inspires them, what excites them, and their special connection to this community. Our guest today is Terry Grahl, the founder and CEO of Enchanted Makeovers, a national nonprofit charitable organization based in Taylor, Michigan. She started Enchanted Makeovers after a life-changing visit to a shelter for women and children in Michigan. Terry grew up in Taylor, Michigan, and she studied at her mother's knee, and she'll tell us more about that. After that, Terry ran a successful interior decorating business called Terry's Enchanted Cottage. Enchanted Makeovers was honored along with 29 other nominees at the 2010 All-Star Game after 7,500 nominations and 1.7 million votes. She also received special recognition from celebrity Sheryl Crow, and further highlighting the influence and recognition Enchanted Makeovers has garnered. Terry has contributed to more than 12 books, has appeared on PBS, The Today Show, Women's World Magazine, First for Women Magazine, and various other television news outlets and national magazines to raise awareness and share the mission. She's currently working on her next children's book about the Capes for Kids program. This will be released in March of 2025. Terry currently lives in Taylor, Michigan. Hey, Terry, welcome, and glad to have you as a guest on So and So.
Yes. Hi, Meg. Wow. What an introduction.
It's all you. You've done all of this, and you and I actually met in person back last summer through an introduction from Deanna Springer, and we were finally able to get together to record this episode of So and So. Deanna's a huge supporter of your work and your mission, so it's our honor to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And yes, Deanna is an amazing woman and a very dear friend.
So we want to talk about Enchanted Makeovers, but let's learn more about you first. You're a sewist. How did you learn to sew, and who was your influence?
My mother, she I can see her right now sewing with Carly Simon playing in the background
Aha,
and the wind blowing through the windows and it's Saturday morning, I'm watching cartoons and all is good. So it's I give all the glory to my mother.
that paints a really sweet picture. Now, why is sewing important to you?
I believe that sewing, is healing. It's a way to express yourself, and obviously, it's a life skill. You can take care of your family.
Hmm.
That's what my mother has shown her children.
Now, before Enchanted Makeovers, you were an interior designer, and your business was called Terry's Enchanted Cottage. What called you to do this type of work, and tell us about the work that you did?
I just remember when my kids I have 4 children, and when they were full-time in school, I remember telling my mother, "I'm going to start a decorating business, but it's not going to be about decorating. It's going to be about giving women hope." And really, it was I mean, my passion is I love to flea market. I love to repurpose. I love grandma's handmade, vintage little treasures, and that's the clients that came to me. So it
Hmm.
was either cottage style, shabby chic, or, rustic, eclectic. From there, it just started that I would go to a woman's house, and she would begin to share a story, and, I just wanted women to be able to have a place that shared their heart.
Hmm.
It wasn't so much about what's the style today. And from there, it just grew to my client, one of my first clients, sharing with her client how I helped to heal her and heal her home. And this gentleman said, "Do you know what I do besides, have this credit card machine company? I raise funds for a shelter for women and children.
Hmm.
Do you think she'll come and paint one wall at the shelter?" And I received the call in December of '06, from this gentleman by the name of David, and he said nothing's ever been done. It's an old post office, and if you could just paint one wall. Well, I made that visit in January of '07. They gave me a tour of the whole facility. The last stop was the women's dorm. Now, this was a shelter that the women stayed for 1 year with their children. And I remember walking up the staircase, and everything was whoever was donated, they used that color to paint with. So the walls, the steps, the trim around the window was this chocolate brown. And as I got to the top of the steps, it was this big brown metal door that you had to push open with both your hands. And as I walked into the dorm where 30 women stayed with their children, everything was broken. The walls had duct tape. I asked where the bunk beds came from. She said they came from a prison. And the bedspreads were from a nursing home. The walls had duct tape. The baby cribs had duct tape. Took before pictures. And I have to be honest, I said to the director, I don't know if I can do anything. She said, we understand. So, and that I did it like I was doing it for a client,
Mhm.
even though if I did it, it would be a volunteer opportunity. And at that time, there was no cell phone to use to take a picture. You would download your photo
Mhm.
to look at a picture. So I went home and I went on with my life. I said, I'm not doing this. I don't have the money. I don't have the volunteers, and I need to take care of my decorating business. Well, a week had passed, and I just felt this urge of you need to look at those before pictures. And I went through them, and the last photo was that bunk bed with the duct tape. The mattress was covered in urine stains. The two pillows had no pillowcases, and there on that white pillow with the soft white polka dots, which I've always loved polka dots since I was a child, I heard "Trust me."
Mm.
And I raised my right hand in the air and I said, "I'll do it." I had no clue how I was gonna get the funding or the volunteers. I just needed to trust, and, I guess you could say the rest is history, but from there is when I just moved forward and started knocking on doors and sending emails out, uh, getting a no, 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 the ugly tears, and, until I finally got a yes, and I knew that no matter how long this was gonna take, the dorm was gonna be transformed into a place of healing, a place that the women could wake up and feel like there's hope. And that's how it began, was the dorm.
So the word no was not an option. Just the universe waited on you for about a week and then sent you down the right direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I said yes to this, before that, I had to meet with all the women, and they had this chapel in the shelter, and there was about 50 women sitting there, some standing against the wall. And I share that because they had every reason to look at me to think, who is this girl with this braided hair? Because I used to braid my hair into these pigtails,
Mhm.
and I had my polka dots on, and
Uh-huh.
uh, and I know they thought, what does she think she's gonna come here and save us? What is this?
Mhm.
And I had my little design board, and I said, I this is what I hope that I can provide. I can get donations, and I asked the ladies, what is it you hope that you would want in your dorm? And I still will I will never forget what they said. And I don't think you ever guess. No one ever guesses. We just want a hook where we can hang our wet towel.
Hmm.
And I say we're going to dream way bigger than that. And in that moment, I began the ugly cry, and the women began to cry with me. And they said everything's going to be okay. And I remember opening my eyes up, and I saw little girls. I
Mhm.
did not see women. I saw pain and disappointment. And in that moment, until this day, we all have just been walking together. I had to that was like the mere flipping that I had to look
Mhm.
at my own life
Mhm.
and things that I kind of buried as a child, and it's never changed. It's not about saving anyone. It's just all of us walking side by side.
Mhm. Is that shelter still there, Terry?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mhm. Now, From all of this, incredible experiences, you founded Enchanted Makeovers. You closed your business, your Enchanted Cottage. I like the fact that enchanted is a common theme running here. Why is that? Why that word?
Enchanted for me, what it stands for is discovering God in all the unexpected places. It is childlike faith and hope.
So tell us about the mission of Enchanted Makeovers and how you work with the recipients of your services.
Well, we're huge about handmade.
Hmm.
So we want the community to serve with their talent. If you love to quilt, we want you to make a quilt. I don't care if it's one or if it's two, or we have groups that send 30. We're big about murals, handmade curtains. It's exactly what my mother gave to me and my brothers and sister. This isn't rocket science. It's just what I was brought up with.
Hmm.
And I know how healing that is. I mean, the quilts my mother made, I still have the quilt. I mean, it's pretty old. I have to put it away because I received it when I was in seventh grade, but she did make me a new one. So, and I thought, you know what helped me as a child and just moving 12 times and battling with homelessness. This is what I can provide for the women and share what my mother did to just share that love and that feeling of that you are precious and you are loved.
So you understand what many of these families, these women and their children were going through firsthand.
Yes, some of them are, some women have escaped human trafficking. I know I've never experienced that, but I have experienced pain
Hmm.
and disappointment. And I think that's enough to say she is me.
Hmm.
And that's where I see as just standing together, no matter what you've battled with in life. And we've had a lot of donors that have reached out to share their story right off the bat
Hmm.
before they even say, "What can I do to help you?" And I knew in that moment this mission had to be full circle,
Hmm.
that it was healing for everyone.
Terry, can you share a story or two about maybe a couple special moments where your work really made a difference in somebody's life?
I would have to say the one that always stands out, her name was Donna, and she had shared how she was once a teacher, and she never shared with her family or her husband how her uncle molested her. She said, I had this great life as a teacher. I got married. And from there, just never coping or even sharing what happened to me, I turned to alcohol. And shit, it got worse with different drugs. And I lost my marriage. And eventually, I was actually living behind a dumpster. And she said, I'm here at the shelter. I'm seeing this transformation right in front of me. And she says, I have to tell you, Terry, I feel like I'm living in a dollhouse.
Hmm.
And who doesn't want to feel precious? That was everything. When she said that, the dollhouse, I mean, just imagine. I mean, my mother builds dollhouses on top of that. So just the detail, because love is in the detail. So she saw the detail, she felt it. Isn't isn't that perfect? I mean,
It is.
what more could you ever ask for?
Indeed. Indeed. Now, many of your projects involve sewists. You've shared with us your love for sewing and why it's so important to you. A couple of your projects, the Traveling Pillowcase Project, Capes for Kids, which is the topic of your book that we're going to talk about in a minute. Um, but how did these projects come about and how do they work?
For the Capes for Kids, that came about a couple years after the mission started, and I was watching the local news, and a mother, it was New York, New Jersey, and she was sharing on the news with her son standing by her to give it up. No one's going to come here and save us. And I started crying, but I always share with when I go and speak, I always share what are tears if there's no action. So I went on Facebook and I said, "Can anyone make 25 cakes?" So a woman from North Carolina reached back out. She said, "I'll do it." She sent me 25 capes, and that's usually the case for how many children are in the shelter between 20 to 25.
Hmm.
Um, I received those capes. I went to my local shelter to see if the children would they think it's silly. What was their reaction? Well, they came to life. The children were twirling, they were laughing and singing. And in that moment, I said, we have to have this as one of our programs. I never thought it would go viral that corporations are using as a team building. I mean, we have anything from math teachers that use it in their math class to children making cakes for children because we have a no sew pattern and a sewing pattern.
Hmm.
So everyone can be a part of this. Yes, they all go to shelters nationwide, so they don't stay just local. And the message is that it's not about Superman. We believe every child has everything within them to be their own superhero. So the cape is just a reminder to the child.
You also have another project, and the theme of your mom is going to come back in here. It's called the Sacred Sewing Room, and it was inspired by your mother. So tell us about this project and how it came to be.
Well, that was another aha moment. I was visiting my mother, and my mother's always been at the sewing machine my whole life. But one day she shared how a sewing machine saved her life. I said, "What do you mean, Mom?" She said, "Well, I battle with depression." She said, "When I sew, I escape." She said, "I don't think about nothing else but what I'm creating." And I remember just looking at her. I said, "Mom, I have to have sewing rooms and shelters
Hmm.
because that's what's lacking." What I've noticed in 17 years this year is there's nothing in shelters that are about creativity. At least at that time when we started, I mean, now there's more, that I'm seeing in shelters, but there's something about imagination and creativity. And I knew that we could provide not only a program that was a life skill, but a way to escape. You could express yourself. And that's how that started was just my mother sharing her heart.
Hmm. And these sacred sewing areas, do you have them in many shelters now?
Yes, we do have them across the United States. It's all volunteers that teach the class.
Hmm.
Um, we're very blessed to have different fabric companies and different sewing notions that donate to us. So
Hmm.
that's a blessing. Um, because I always share that because people have reached out and said, I have a yard of fabric. I said, well, that's great, but picture it this way: you are in a classroom, your teacher gives you a pencil, and it's broken, but there's no pencil sharpener. So I share that to visualize that is we want the classroom to be set up that there's no disappointment.
Hmm.
So the machines all have to match. They have to be new. We want that yards of fabric. There's a reason for all that. So we encourage if you're going to donate fabric, try that it's yards, not scraps.
And you mentioned earlier, you said, Terry, love is in the details. So what I'm hearing is that you make sure that all of the details in these shelters are as top notch as you can get them, so people do feel precious.
Precious, not frustrated, um, you're starting right off to be successful
Hmm.
through the program, not only through the shelter, but what we provide.
Now you've been featured in a lot of media. And I learned that Sheryl Crow even did a shout out to you in a video, which is pretty cool. First, tell us about the media coverage, and is there a good story behind any specific instance and how it helped your business, helped your efforts?
The media has been a huge blessing for us. We don't pay for any marketing at all. It's just the media reaching out to us or just sending a little email to an editor, just sharing my heart. And that's how it began way back, just doing it that way. With the Sheryl Crow incident, that was one of my dear friends slash volunteers that lives in Ohio. DeSanne, her name is. It was the last day of that contest with MLB, People Magazine, and you had to share somebody that, did something good in the community, but pick your baseball team. Well, of course, it's gonna be in Ohio and the Indians. That's her state. So
Mhm. Mhm.
so she sent it in that last day. I received a call that night from People Magazine saying, "We just got an application. You're entered into this contest. You are one of you're going to be in this contest now." I'm like, "Oh, okay," because I had no idea about it. And then a week later, that's where people had to vote nationwide,
Mhm.
and they were only going to select 30 people out of all these nominations. Well, we made it to the 30, and then they said there's only going to be 7 people picked that a celebrity will talk about your charity.
Mhm.
And we were one of the 7 out of 7,500 nominations. It broke it down to I still can't believe it happened. It truly was a blessing.
Mm. It
Yes.
absolutely. And now you started in Michigan, but you are now nationwide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Are you, in every state or there are there or multiples in a state? Tell us a little bit about your reach within the country.
We don't have, chapters. I was asked many years ago, how I feel about that. First off, I don't feel it in my heart to do that, but it's like handing off your baby to a stranger.
Sure.
I can't do it. It just feels like it would. I kind of feel like I'm the best mother to take care of the baby.
Sure.
So what we do is our team goes to a state and we ignite that town or city to be a part of that transformation.
Mhm.
That's how that works. When you think of a shelter, the women don't stay there. Obviously, it could be 6 months to a year, but there is unfortunately many women that go through that system, through the program. So in that, it has affected thousands of women across the United States with going to New Jersey, going to Pennsylvania and setting up Kentucky, Ohio. Um, so we like to share how many women it's affected.
Mhm.
That's the bigger part, I think, to share than how many shelters.
And how many women has it affected?
Thousands and thousands.
Mhm.
That's yes, and I wish we didn't have that. I wish we didn't have to have shelters, but unfortunately, we do need them.
Sure. And were you able to build, the sacred sewing rooms in most of these shelters now?
Yes, but there's a, requirement with that is that you have to give up a room.
Mhm.
We don't donate sewing machines. We donate a program.
Mhm.
So it has to be a permanent, like, kinda like fixture in your shelter. And really, I mean, our smallest has been just two stations to the largest was 6 stations
Mhm.
for that room because you gotta remember we have to have the cutting tables and
Oh, sure.
all
Mhm.
I'm preaching to the choir here, so you understand.
Mm.
So, there's, like, guidelines to it if you accept this program. That's really how it works. It's just, do you have space you're willing to give up? Some have said, "We have an extra bedroom that we're willing to give up," and they send us photos, measurements, and that's how it really starts.
Terry, what's next for you, and what's your dream?
Well, I have a children's book that I've written, and that will be out, um, in March 2025.
Mhm, and what's it called?
It is called The Little Bluebird Who Forgot It Could Fly,
Okay,
and it's all based on the Capes for Kids.
okay. And where will people be able to purchase this book?
They'll be able to purchase it on Amazon.
Okay,
Yes, and the first book will be, uh, late in December this year, and that is on the doll adoption program,
okay,
and that's the little, bear who loved his handmade dolls.
okay. So what's your dream?
Um, my dream, just to heal and inspire more people.
Hmm.
I think that came to my heart, and I think that if it does, that's just to really I mean, the children's books is a big thing for me because it really breaks down really the deep core of the mission is for me, it's that childlike faith.
Hmm.
I hold on to that and live by it every day, and I hope that these my books will inspire people that read it to their grandchildren, to their children, the adult that reads it, that they not only would be inspired and feel healed, but the back of the book is about taking action and being a part of our programs.
Hmm. In our conversation today, is there a question I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
No, I think you nailed everything.
Good. Good. There's always an opportunity for you to jump in with other things, but this has been wonderful, Terry. I've known your story for quite some time, and am honored to share it with our sewing and quilting community. And it's been an honor to have you on So and So today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. And don't forget to check out the website enchantedmakeovers.org.
Well, and that was my next question. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
You're making my job easy. If our listeners want to reach out to you, tell them again the best way for them to do that.
It's enchantedmakeovers.org
Hmm.
or it's enchantedmakeovers at comcast.net if you want to email us.
And when they reach out, we'd love anybody who does because of this podcast to let you know that they heard you on So and So.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Like I said, if I want to thank you, Meg, for being you're now a messenger for the mission. That's what we share when people reach out is now you've become a messenger. So,
So it's our honor to do this, Terry. And thank you again so very much for spending time with us today.
oh, thank you.
Well, there you have it. Another story about someone like you. Someone for whom sewing and quilting is so much more than a hobby. It's a way of life and a connection to something bigger. If you know someone you think has an outstanding story, a story that should be shared on this podcast, please drop me a note to meg@soandsopodcast.com or complete the form on our website. Be sure to subscribe to, rate, and review this podcast on your favorite platform, and visit our website, soandsopodcast.com, for more information about today's and all of our guests. That's SEWANDSO podcast.com. And finally, I want to thank Bernina for making this program possible. I'm Meg Goodman, and I look forward to you joining us next time on So and So.